Welcome to Pure Podcast. I'm really excited about today's interview and chat. I have Brittney Hopper here today. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Brittney Hopper, you are an independent TV journalist.
That's right.
You are a Jewish activist, a powerhouse.
Thank you.
Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, thanks. I'm not used to that type of introduction. It's so sweet. So, my entire adult life, I've been a TV journalist. I was with CBS News and Entertainment Tonight for close to 2 decades. And so I've really covered so many national events that has happened in our country. The BLM riots, Osama bin Laden's death, the Oscars, the Grammys, the Golden Globes. I've really done such a range of stories in my career. And currently now I can be viewed on Fox News Network. I'm now just a regular contributor on their network. And yeah, it's amazing. But my number one job is being a mommy. And so that's my number one main job. And then the rest is just kind of fluff.
Right. That's the most important job in the world.
Yes.
We actually met through a Chabad event in Delray. It was a cook-off and we had to submit recipes. And my recipe was an Australian salad because I'm from there. And then your recipe was a Moroccan chicken. That was so
amazing,
good.
Right?
So amazing. Thank you so much for the recipe.
Yeah.
But when you said you're Moroccan, I was like, hold on one second. This chick looks like me.
Yep.
How is she Moroccan?
Right. And it's so funny because I know you converted to Judaism and I get asked that all the time.
And we look like sisters.
We do. And that's such a compliment because you're gorgeous. So I appreciate that. But so my mother's Moroccan Jewish. My father is American. I mean, he's whiter than white bread. He is just the all-American quintessential boy next door look. And for whatever reason, they raised me modern Orthodox. And so I took on the role of going to Chabad at such an early age. And I went to a Lubavitch Hebrew Academy until I had my bat mitzvah. And so 7 days a week, I was trained, I was schooled, educated under the Rebbe's teachings and in a very modern Orthodox setting. And I think it was one of the best gifts and blessings that my mother and parents could have provided for me because it really instilled that moral compass and values and just even Jewish traditions in my life at such a young age. Because when I went to high school, a secular school, and college, undergrad was at University of Santa Barbara, and anyone who knows that school, it's a party school. And so I really did drift away from our, Shomer Shabbat, kosher, like the bigger things. Like I always never ate pork and shellfish and mixed meat and milk. But, I really did lose a lot of the laws and rules that we go by. But it's interesting because when I started to get older, you kind of revert back to the way that you were taught.
Isn't that funny?
And it is funny. And especially when you become a parent, I think those kind of like, I don't know, for me, it's always just brought stability. And during my career as a TV journalist, it required a lot of traveling. And this was in my 20s and 30s that I was just working 40 to 60 hours a week prior to becoming a mom. I mean, it was go, 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 go. And the Chabad houses would always take me in. If I needed a place to go for Rosh Hashanah, if I needed a place for Yom Kippur, if I needed to break the fast with people, it was always them who were like, come, no matter what, no matter your background, no matter what you're wearing, no matter what you look like, no matter what. No matter if you don't even want to give a donation, they didn't even ask, just come and be with us. And so, that has stuck with me because since I can remember, it's just always been like a second home. And I think that that's really what Chabad is all about.
Yeah.
And it's been a beautiful journey that I'm still obviously, thank God, on.
I think that's so beautiful. Seeing how what you're exposed to in your childhood has such an impact. You can go so far, but it always feels like home.
Right.
And being able to give you that opportunity to have a Jewish foundation. It was there and you were like, oh, I feel safe in this place. This is what feels good to me.
Exactly.
That's such a gift.
Exactly. It was always that blanket, that safety blanket. And even if I would stray to a different, side or date a non-Jewish man or whatever it may be, or get involved in this or that, it always kind of came back to that, Chabad, Judaism, where I feel safe and most comfortable, and who really put that blanket over me no matter where I was in my life.
So you really connected to not just the spiritual aspect of it, but like I see you on Fox News and I see you all over social media. You are using that passion and showing people Israel, where we are on the map. Your activism is so beautiful. Do you feel like that was part of it, or that came in later?
So the backstory with this is, ironically and shockingly, I'm one of the only TV journalists on air, Jewish journalist, who has always worn a Chai necklace or a Star of David necklace.
I see it.
Yes.
So pretty.
And this is way before October 7th, we're talking. But I've always been a very proud Jew. I've always made it known that I'm a proud Jew, always. And not so many people have done that. And it was around 2021. So again, prior to October 7th, 2023, I posted a map of Israel, and it simply said, Am Yisrael Chai. And this was 2021. I'm covering the BLM riots going into COVID.
Yeah.
2020 was COVID. We were in the heat of COVID and, just in the thick of it, I should say. And I was covering it, and I posted just Am Yisrael Chai and a map of Israel. I get a call from HR in New York, CBS News HR, and they said, you have to take that down.
Wow.
And I said, I don't understand. I don't understand. Israel's our ally. There are other on-air journalists that have pro-BLM, pro-transgender rights, pro-whatever it may be, which I completely understand. That's their identity that they identify with, and they are expressing their pro whatever.
Right.
Why are they allowed to? And I'm not allowed to, either make them take all of that off and make it stop being biased about this. And then, the following year after that, I noticed I was getting a little bit retaliated against. Mentally, I just wasn't as focused either. My daughter, I was more focused on her. And then we parted ways in 2022. I will say that particular post is still up.
Really?
I never took it down.
I got to go searching for it.
Yeah. I never took it down. It's still up.
Awesome.
And, then when October 7th happened, I really felt that I needed to use my platform to speak out, because there's so much misinformation, not only about Israel, but also now just about the Jewish people itself.
Right.
I mean, and not that I have that large of a platform. I have 100 and something thousand followers. That's not that many in the grand scheme of things when we talk about some of these big names who have millions of followers and what they're posting and putting out there. But I felt it was my duty, it was my calling to get back on the news and to rectify a lot of these horrible things that are being said and the misinformation, especially when it comes to Judaism and Jewish people. I'm raising a Jewish daughter who goes to a Jewish school.
Right.
And so, I mean, it just felt that this was my next calling to continue and do.
So then that's when you moved over to Fox?
So I started getting a lot of calls from different networks to come on as an independent journalist, because I was no longer under contract with CBS News. And my family and I moved from Los Angeles to South Florida. And so my agent's like, you're getting bombarded. You have this network to come on. And I mean, it was like, sometimes I'd be booked 3 times a day doing different networks all over the world, whether it's Sky News, One American News Network, Fox News, Newsmax. And I just started speaking out. But then it led from talking about Israel to now I basically am a contributor of just talking about everything from politics to current events to Israel to Judaism.
That's so beautiful, because you allowed yourself, by coming out and standing up for who you are and what you believe, to be able to be like, I can talk about this topic, I can talk about that, not pigeonholing yourself into one specific thing, being able to come out and speak passionately about whatever you want.
Yeah. So look, folks who think that mainstream media, that there's not a narrative, you're incredibly naive. I was a puppet for many, many, many years. There is a script that you have to stick to. It's a loose script, but if anyone thinks that we have freedom of speech or free press, you're completely wrong. I saw that especially while covering COVID. And that's when I really got turned off by mainstream media, and the red flags really started to appear because I wasn't able to bring on certain folks that had a different opinion. And that's not being objective.
No.
That's not being an ethical journalist, in my opinion. We were always told to provide all sides of the story and then allow the viewers to form their opinion. Journalism has completely changed, and it's now, we're not journalists, we're activists. So I have kind of pigeonholed myself because I have spoken out against mainstream media. And I think it's out there now that I am, an activist for Judaism, and what political party I align with, that's out there. So unfortunately, mainstream media is probably not going to touch me at this point.
Good.
But that's okay. I'd rather know that I am speaking the truth, and I am saying what I feel and my opinion versus getting shut off from speaking the truth.
That is so inspiring because you have an audience that is on social media, off social media. It's everywhere. You have the general population.
Right.
You'll have people like myself or people who have bigger platforms or smaller platforms. And I'm not afraid to speak out about whatever. No one pays me. I do what I want. If you like it, great. If not, there's an unfollow button and you never have to hear about it anymore. But I see sometimes people who are a little bit afraid to post something or worried about what it's going to look like. And they might be so Zionistic and feel so much passion towards Israel, but they get frightened about going out and speaking up against wrongs.
Well, sadly, and as against as I am with cancel culture, it's a really real thing. And you have to understand that a lot of these people, their bread and butter are their employers and where they're working, or even if they are their own boss, I mean, they still need to make money somehow. And unfortunately, being a Zionist and pro-Israel has become so polarizing that it's people who automatically think, oh, then you must be against Palestinians. You must not have any empathy toward the Palestinians, and you're a child murderer. No. That couldn't be farther from the truth. So, you get labeled and painted as such. And I can completely understand, even journalists nowadays. I have a lot of friends in the business that are at Good Morning America, to the Today Show, to local news in Los Angeles and New York. Tons of friends that I will tell you who were and are pro-Trump, vote Republican. Would you ever know in a million years?
Never.
No. And why? They're making 6-7 figures. They're not going to risk that.
Right.
So I do understand on the other side. And I think that the American people and the viewers need to understand that it's such a bigger problem that it's become so polarizing. And it may not even be Israel and Judaism as a topic.
Right.
We're just talking about if you're pro-Trump, you're a racist, you're this, you're that, you're shunned. I mean, it's so damaging that, it's sad that we have gone so one extreme to the other that it could really, really affect people's livelihood. So, of course, naturally, people are not speaking out how they really feel. The other flip side to it is I get death threats a lot.
Really?
I get a lot of threats. I get a lot of threats. And that's why I've had to stop showing my daughter on Instagram. And that's why, I keep where we are in South Florida pretty private. Of course, where she goes to school, pretty private. I mean, I don't really think that these threats are credible, but it's frightening and it's disgusting what's out there.
Yeah.
And the names that I'm called and the emoji pig under my, daughter's pictures. I mean, it's real. It's happening. And it's, I think a lot of people don't want to deal with that either. They don't want that target on their backs.
Yeah. No, that can affect you no matter how strong you are.
And listen, I'll tell you, I haven't taken my activism to the level that I probably could take it, because I don't want that target on my back. So I'm kind of even just staying in the middle lane here of doing my part and what I can do. I've had offers to take it to this next level. That would mean full-time security. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And God love the people who are doing it. So, even if you're talking about on a small fragment of just speaking out, one post of being pro-Zionist, they're going to lose followers. They're going to get people who are, well, I'm not coming into your shop anymore. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just a ripple effect. And that is just, it's horrible.
I love that you actually see the balance, because I'll talk to people who are like, no, like who cares what happens? And who cares if you lose your business or your customers, you'll find the right people. And then I have other people who are like, don't say a word.
Right.
You have the middle balance. I haven't really spoken to anyone that has that opinion of it.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of goes with my personality. And even politically, there's some things on the left that I can agree with. Maybe one or two. Just kidding. It's getting less and less how extreme they're getting. But like, I can at least appreciate and respect a different point of view and have a civil discussion and learn about that other side. And I think that for me, there has to be a balance, because that's just how I try to live my life and how I try and raise my daughter and mother and partner and all of those beautiful things. So with this, I don't want to go one extreme to the other. And maybe that's why I'm in this kind of stagnant point in my life too, of figuring still things out of what my next move is and direction. And, I'm only on Fox 1 or 2 nights a week, or sometimes it's once a month, depending on my schedule. I don't want to go all in one or the other right now. I'm just not at that place. And so, finding that happy balance and happy medium, I think is bringing me peace. And then ultimately it'll bring other people around me peace.
Yeah. If you're centered and you're grounded, you attract your tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Right. You bring those people to you. And then you also get to wake up in the morning and being like, I'm living my authentic self. And I like it.
And I realized looking back. So I also have my master's degree in clinical psychology.
Wow.
Which I got later in life. I got during COVID. So I was on the news part-time and getting my master's degree. I'm a single mom. I shouldn't say single, because I have a lot of help from my ex-husband and we co-parent beautifully, but still, I mean, the nights that she's with me, the days that she's with me, I don't have any help. It's everything on my own. I was going to throw in the towel. I can't even tell you how many times. And I would look at her sleeping next to me, and I could get choked up right now because I'm just like, pull it through. You got this. You got this. You could do it. You could do it, just for her, because she knew I was doing this. And then I had her walk with me during graduation. And it was the sweetest, because to be able to have her see that, even though you get knocked down, we have a saying in our house, you get knocked down in life, you get yourself back up. So I have this master's degree that has helped in so many ways of keeping that balance, maintaining the yin and yang of everything in life. And I know that when I was on the news, it was just a feeling of inauthenticity. I was very inauthentic. I was a shell of a person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's funny because on the outside, you look at it and it's like, oh my gosh, this glamorous person who is on, the big screen, so to speak, the news, and getting hair and makeup and at the Oscars. Wow. But it deeply affected me in a way of like, but I'm not being my true authentic self. So now, I'm making way less money and it's not as, but I do feel I'm living a way more authentic life.
That is so beautiful. I really feel that. And then it also shows, like, I know we met a few times, and like you have just such a balanced, relaxed, good energy. Like you feel really like you know who you are, and you're happy about that. And like you could feel that.
Age helps too. I swear, age helps.
Yeah.
I'm older, so it's like that helps. And I think this master's degree of just learning about the psyche on a master's level, and just like why we do things the way we do it, why other people do things the way they do it, why they react this way, why I'm reacting, my triggers, their triggers, it's so beautiful. And I think like the best thing that I can say to you and to your listeners is don't take anything personally.
Yeah.
When someone is, maybe giving you bad energy or maybe reacting a certain way, 9 out of 10 times, it's something that they're going through. Yeah. So I always feel like just be kind to the person because you never know what a person is going through. Yeah. I can guarantee you everyone is going through something. There's always something.
I teach my kids that. I say, hurt people.
That's
so they have
very
a kid
true.
that was mean to them. And I'm like, because that kid maybe their mom yelled at them in the morning because they didn't get their shoes, and now they're upset and they're going to yell at you. Yeah. And that is a huge lesson that
we say that too. Yeah. We say that a lot in our house because that's such a great psychology line. Hurt people. Yeah, it's very true.
Even when it comes to what you hear on social media where people are nasty and they say these horrible things, it might come from a place of passion too. But I feel like deep down inside, people who are happy and love themselves can't say awful things like, I wish X, Y, and Z on your child, God forbid, or anything like that.
Yeah, God forbid.
They're going through something as well, as much as I'm like, I can't, it's hard to have compassion.
Yeah. What I'm learning now is to preserve my energy too, because sometimes I can give too much of it to the wrong person. And so I think that that's growth as well, as learning when to walk away, or maybe this friendship ends, or maybe, you know, whatever it may be. And that's a huge, I don't know how we get on that topic. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, we'll have you back for that one.
Yeah, that's an entirely different podcast on energies, but yeah,
an energy one. Yeah, like I feel like I'm worried about what's going to happen when my kids go to school and university.
Absolutely. We all should be worried about this.
And I was going to be like, I'm going to have them at the best universities. And now I'm seeing all this stuff and I'm like, what are they teaching them? Like, what are they actually teaching these kids outside of the course? Like if my daughter wants to be a psychologist or a doctor or whatever she wants to be, but she's exposed to all of this other stuff that is going to affect her. Like,
And I can tell you firsthand, when I went back to get my master's degree, which was I just graduated in 2023, you know, I couldn't start a class without giving my pronouns.
I've heard that. That's wild.
I was like, come again? At one point I said Jew-ish. And they're like, that's not a pronoun. I'm like, either is your made up shit. Like it just like, this is ridiculous. I mean, I got into so much trouble because I would speak out and I had to call myself a cisgender. And I'm like, what is a cisgender? And listen, mind you, I always said, whatever you want me to call you, I will call you. But why are you projecting onto me? I'm obviously a female, and why do I have to state my she, her pronouns? This makes zero sense to me. I am playing, we are mental health professionals, going to be, and yet we are toying with a mental illness. And it just didn't make any sense to me. But these are our future child psychologists, our future therapists, marriage and family therapists. I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling if you think about just that. So, yeah, of course, these schools are indoctrinating all of our children in so many ways. But the bigger fear for me is the anti-Semitism that's on these campuses.
Yeah.
And even, thank God, we go to a Jewish private academy that goes until the 12th grade. But these public schools, these other secular private schools, I mean, I know firsthand, I'm hearing the stuff that's happening to these Jewish kids, and it's frightening and terrifying. And so I think that there's a lot there. There's a lot to combat. And I think that that's why I always say, whether you have 100 followers or 100 million followers, we need to speak out and be loud and proud right now. We're such a small population, but we're very mighty. Very. And that's part of the problem as well, is what we have accomplished by using our brains and never giving up, and the resiliency. And, you know, you say we can't go into banks, then we'll buy our own banks.
I saw you posted that yesterday in your stories. That was a beautiful reel.
You say we can't go into the country clubs, we'll get our own country clubs. You say we can't go into the schools, we'll make our own schools. And, you know, I don't know what the future looks like, but I think that there might need to be some new Jewish universities.
I agree.
I think that things are going to change, but I think ultimately our parents' generation got a little too complicit. They got a little too like, oh, the anti-Semitism is done. It's been 80 years since the Holocaust. Our parents worked really hard to get to a place where they got, and the Jews to get where they are. And now we're a little complacent. We could start doing this. We could start marrying outside of our race, you know, all of these things. And then boom, October 7th happened.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a huge wake-up call. This is the silver lining that I think post October 7th, it's been a huge wake-up call for so many Jewish people around the world that like, whoa. We are not going to have trembling knees anymore. We need to figure this out. We need to come together and regroup here and still, of course, be the light in everyone's lives, because that's what Hashem brought us into this world for. But at the same time, we have to fight back.
Yeah, like you had COVID and then you have October 7th, and it shifted the world in two ways also.
Yeah.
It's almost like separating everybody in a good way, like the people who are in the light, people who have kindness in their heart, those people are showing here, and the people who are for death, for murder, for everything that's dark, you can now see who your friends and who your enemies were.
I mean, unfortunately, though, what we're seeing, what Jewish people are seeing as a whole, and take out the Zionism, okay?
Right.
I think 90 to 95% of Jews are Zionists, meaning they believe Israel has every right to exist. Okay, we might not agree politically of what's going on in Israel, but ultimately there's a consensus that Israel has every right to exist, just like so many other countries. So let's leave that out. Let's just talk about Judaism and Jewish people right now. What we're up against is we have the far right and then the far left who are coming at us in both ends.
Yeah, I feel that.
And it's really, really tough. And unfortunately, I think the media and social media fuel the fire of this anti-Semitism. And ironically, a lot of social media accounts were started by a Jewish person, but it's being fueled by all this anti-Semitism because so many things get shared that are misinformation. I mean, there's so many conspiracies out there that have been debunked, but it doesn't matter. Jews are the reason that 9/11 happened. What are you talking about? Like, it's that, like, there's just, and the CIA's, I mean, there's just so many things out there.
Yeah.
And listen, I know this firsthand because I've been on the news for so many years, and it doesn't take even a mental health professional to say this. When people are given the same narrative over and over and over again, you're going to start believing it.
Oh, yeah. You hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut.
Exactly. So that's what we're seeing. And we're seeing so many things that are being said that, so it's an uphill battle that we have for sure.
I really believe, and I say this not just my own personal opinion, but I believe that every Jew believes this at some deep level, that anti-Semitism is what God sends to the Jews to wake us up. If we didn't have anti-Semitism, if we didn't have October 7th, we've now woken up. You woke up that Lion of Zion, and in the most horrific way, which I hope never happened. And the only way to look at it is like, this is God shaking us up, shaking everybody up, sending our enemies to us and making us stronger. Like, we didn't have an IDF before Israel. Now we have one.
Right. And I mean, listen, biblical times, history repeats itself. For thousands of years. We have been persecuted, or people have wanted us dead or abolished. And we always, thank God, come back stronger than ever. And I have no doubt we will from this, but I do think it has put us back. And I do think we have a long fight ahead of us, even once, God willing, this war is over.
Do you feel that people, no matter where they are politically, as long as they have that connection to Israel, now they're going to be more passionate to help Israel?
I hope so. And I hope that, time and time again, we see so many Jewish people waking up. We're seeing that. And I hope they don't fall asleep at the wheel once things settle, once the dust settles. Because, the world is going to go on to its next big thing, whether that's Iran, whether it's World War III, whether it's, who knows, Russia. I mean, it's then going to go on, and the focus is going to be taken off the Jews eventually, because that's just the way the world works and society works. I just hope during that time, we're always mindful, like, look, no, let's still maintain this closeness and community, and still put tefillin on, still do your Torah classes, still marry Jewish, still get back into our connections and our learnings. Yeah. But I do foresee that happening.
So even though the world's focus might be off of us, making sure our focus is still on who we are and what's important to us.
I hope. But I can guarantee you, I don't know when, but eventually there's going to be something else that's going to happen. That's going to be the next big, obviously. I mean, you talk about how many hundreds of thousands of people, Muslim on Muslim wars that has happened, in Yemen, in Africa. Like, I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of people killed.
Right.
And I'm not disputing or not being empathetic to the Palestinians that have been killed. But let's be real. The majority of them are Hamas terrorists. This is a war. No one wants a war. So of course there's a lot of innocent civilians that have been killed, and it's horrible. But no one's talking about the hundreds of thousands, way more. We're talking quadruple more of these other Muslim on Muslim wars that have happened as early as just 2 years ago.
Yeah,
but all eyes and all focus, for whatever reasons, on Israel and Palestine right now. And yeah, I do think that there's going to be another whatever, because there always is. But I'd love to see if all these people are going to be up in arms for the next big thing that's going to happen.
I wish that people were up in arms for what's happening wrongfully to the Muslims. And you see it on. You see
Get rid
like,
of Hamas and let's allow these Palestinians to live freely. So yeah, free Palestine from Hamas, you dumbass.
From Hamas, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Sure, I'll agree with you. Free Palestine
exactly.
from Hamas.
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand. Like, people are so stupid and ignorant.
It's a choice that people make. There is the information out there. You can choose, and they will make sure that they see what fits their narrative, and that's what they're going to expose.
Well, it's also the
to.
trends right now. I mean, you know, being a free Palestine person, terrorist sympathizer, it's what's trendy right now.
Most people can't find it on a map.
Correct. And they have no idea what from the river to the sea means. 99.9% of them, if they even went over to Gaza and helped out their buddies in Hamas, they'd be killed.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's so ludicrous. Yet if they were to go to Israel, they'd see how Muslims and Israelis work together. There's actual Arabs on parliament and in politics there, and our professors and doctors. I mean, it's such ignorance that it blows my mind. And then you have the like queers for Palestine, and it's like, are you nuts?
Yeah.
Israel has one of the largest pro same-sex rights and parades in the Middle East. And yet you would get killed in Gaza or in Palestine or anywhere else in the Arab world if you were gay.
I think Bibi said it is like queers for Palestine is like chickens for KFC. Like they will kill you. You walk in there, they'll murder you. And they're happy to say it. They're not hiding it.
But I don't understand, because I know that they've heard this, but they're still on their mission. And I think at this point, it's so obvious that it's just pure hatred toward Judaism and Jewish people itself.
Right. Just say we don't like Jews and we want them gone. Like, okay, then we know.
Unfortunately, there's just some really big heavy hitters that have millions of followers that have jumped on the bandwagon as well. And they hate Jews too. And so it's just really fueling the fire. And like I said, we're having it come from both ends, the far right and the far left right now. And we are on an island, and we have to stay together, and we have to continuously speak out and fight back. And I think that we'll get through this, God willing. God's always going to protect Israel. It's the Holy Land. It's not going to go anywhere. And I don't think the Jewish people are.
No, we're
God willing, we're just going to keep multiplying.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's been like one of the biggest baby booms right now in Israel.
I know.
You know, getting pregnant. And there's so many new like Jewish matchmaking. You know, my previous relationship was with a non-Jew, and it's hilarious because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't be a fake. I can't be telling everyone to like, you know, and oh, thank God now I'm dating a Jewish man. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's interesting how just really you have to take your own advice, and we all have to come together right now. But yeah, it's important. It's so important, I think, now more than ever for the younger generation to really step up and to maintain that goodness that we were taught at such a young age. You know, as a little girl, it's funny because Judaism, it's you know, get a good education, do well in life, be a contributing part of society, get a good job, put money away, like all of these positive things. I don't understand why people hate us for that. Like, it's so funny to me because it's like, be with your family, observe Shabbat, meaning for 24 hours, you're just with your family. You're going to synagogue to pray. Like, how are you triggered by that?
Obviously, shining the mirror at something in them that they don't like and they're not happy with.
Yeah, it goes back to my psychology of saying it's on them. It's on them, right? Don't take it personally. But I think when it starts to affect our daily lives, I think we have to take it a little personally, and we have to kind of come together now more than ever, and stand strong with each other and continue to build one another up, maintain that pride. So that's, so my chai necklace is like very, very large. And I cannot tell you, I get more comments and DMs when I'm on Fox News wearing this chai necklace than any other time in my career. I mean, so many people coming out of the woodworks, like, I love your chai, thank you. Like, so amazing. Because I mean, it's obviously pretty in your face.
Nice. Yeah.
It was a gift given to me by a jeweler in Israel because I was getting a lot of messages saying that I need to wear something bigger when I'm on the news. And so, I mean, they made this pretty big.
Yeah,
it's pretty big.
Something so simple as wearing a outward sign of being Jewish that they took from us many, many years ago. And they slapped a Jewish star on us. We get to now wear that with gold and diamonds.
Pride,
and
exactly.
pride.
But you know what's so interesting? That's funny that you bring this up, because my grandmother, who we lit a candle for, my grandmother specifically used to always say, don't take your Star of David off when flying, when traveling.
Really?
And all throughout my career, she's like, stop wearing it on air. And I'm like, what are you talking about? But that's her generation. She's the one who escaped the Holocaust. Whereas my mom's been a little lenient or whatever. And then now it's like, oh, no. We are loud and proud, and you are not taking this off. And instead, I'm going to triple up and I'm going to get an even bigger one.
You make it bling.
Yeah. Make it be so obnoxious about it.
I love it. That's so beautiful that you were instilled with that too.
Yeah, but it's crazy how that fear was like, hide it.
No,
if you're traveling, and if you're going to Europe, or if you're on the airplane, hide it. And it's like, I think back that how many times I was told that. And then when I got on air in my early 20s and started being on television, I remember just always hearing, don't wear it. I don't have that target on your back.
I felt that when I went to Italy this past summer, and I had my Jewish star necklace, or sometimes I wear like the map of Israel one that I'm wearing now.
Yeah.
And I was wearing it, and I was just like, I was actually scared a little bit. And you're talking about Italy. I was in Venice, and you see on the wall, somebody spray painted, Free Palestine, Kill the Jews in Venice. And then they had a Free Palestine museum pop up that you could go in and you could, it's
crazy right
now.
now.
And I was scared. Like, it is weird. Like, we want to be proud, but then there's also this, wow, like, people could kill me just because of a piece of jewelry.
Right. And we do have to be careful. And when I give speeches, I get asked this a lot, especially when I give speeches on college campuses or in high schools. And they're like, what should I do? And it's like, well, the mother in me is going to be like, no, don't do anything. Like, you never know nowadays. There's so many crazy people, and God forbid they have a gun. And I always try to say, use good judgment. Of course, wear what you feel comfortable, and in an environment, if you need to put that in your shirt, do what makes you feel more comfortable. We don't want to fight back with these lunatics.
There's no point.
That it's not worth it. And at the end of the day, I always say too, just kill them with kindness. Maybe they just need to see the goodness in you, and maybe they'll change their mind a bit.
Free Jewish hugs.
Yeah, exactly. But it's crazy what's out there right now. It's very sad.
What's really cool about how you've come full circle and how you have such a passion for this is it really goes back to what you were saying. When the world is not focusing on us anymore and everything's died down, there's something else big. We have to focus on ourselves. Marry Jewish, look into Shabbat, connect to your community however you can. But you only had that. Well, not only you have Moroccan grandparents who like giving you like magic and energy, but like you had that as a child as your memories in going to a Chabad Jewish day school. And if anyone gets a gift to send their kids to a Jewish day school at all, it builds you for the rest of your life.
It really does. Every psychologist is going to say it starts in your childhood, right? I mean, like everything, whether you've had little to no trauma to big trauma, it's no matter what going to come out later in our adolescence, adult life, in terms of how we marry, the partners we choose, our confidence, our defense mechanisms, all of these things. I can say firsthand, some of the best childhood memories for me was because I went to Chabad and went to the Chabad school that I went to. Wow. So, and that really helped shape who I am. And of course, did little things happen like my parents' divorce? And of course, life's going to happen. And thank God I didn't have major trauma that happened, but even just the little things that have happened, you go back to your teachings of just Hashem is protecting me. Hashem's always there. I'm not going to ever turn my back on Hashem. And you go back to those ways that were instilled in you. And I think every child deserves that, because they're all brought into this world very, very innocently. And they are our responsibilities of how we can provide them with the best life possible. And I really do think that instilling those core values, it'll stay with them for the rest of their lives. There's nothing negative that can happen, in my opinion.
And you're proof of that, just having that exposure. And, and if you didn't have that, the journey that you would have taken would have been much different.
Life is full of, I always like to say, there's always like two roads you can go down, and there's not a wrong or right road. It all kind of leads you to the path that you're ultimately supposed to be on. However, there's been certain roads that I haven't taken because I go back to the way that I was raised, or there's been certain ways that I would react to a person that's hurt me or done me badly. Well, wait, how should I do this? And have I always been perfect? No. There's been times where I'm asking for forgiveness too and learning lessons and all of those things. But I really do think that the kindness that I've always tried my entire life to lead with was from the Chabad, was from the teachings of the Rebbe and how I was raised in so many ways.
That's amazing. That's what he wanted. That was his whole MO, was to instill that into the Jewish children. And no matter where they are, reach them, no matter if they are in a house where they're having a Christmas party to a religious home where, everyone's wearing, black hats and stockings.
Yeah.
And he wanted all the children to have that, because life is going to give you those roads. And now you're going to not take a road that you maybe would have taken before. Now you have this basis and this guidance, this compass.
Absolutely. And look, I've had a lot of fun in my life. I've had a lot of temptation, let's say. Okay. I was on the news for so many years in Los Angeles, partying it up with some of the best. I could have easily have gone down a certain slippery slope, but thank God, by the grace of God, it was always this like, okay, wait, maybe if I'm partying too much, I need to kind of get back to my roots and start going to synagogue a little bit more. And, there's just so many of those things.
There's this teaching in Judaism that our higher soul is our guardian angel. Yeah. And what you feed it, that's what it's going to become. So even as a child, if you've created your higher soul and you've been exposing it to beautiful things from our tradition and our religion, even if our body takes us somewhere else, our soul is going to protect us. It's not going to let those things happen to us. Even if we want to make the choice, you can't even find the door handle. You can't even go through there.
It's amazing. And you're so knowledgeable. I could sit here for hours and talk to you and ask you so many questions about Kabbalah and spirituality. And I know that's an entirely different podcast as well.
We'll have you back for that.
You're so knowledgeable about it. And even with everyone has their stuff that they've gone through. It must help. That's probably why you're such a positive light.
Oh, thank you. I feel your light and your energy. I really do. Yeah. This has been so much fun.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming. This has been great. And I want to have you again and chat. Anytime. Just an excuse to hang out and drink coffee and light candles. And
exactly. Yeah. Next time we'll do mimosas or like a martini. Then we'll really get into some good stuff.
Oh yeah. That'll be fun. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany.
So much.
I love you. Thank you. And cut.
Yay. Wonderful. How was that?
That was awesome.
Okay, good.
That was a lot of fun.